Hello and welcome to today's training webinar. Today we're going to be going ahead and covering how to use our policy screen and what would be going into our billing screens. So as you can see here, we're on the main menu of QQ Evolution and it's our dashboard. There's a lot of information here right on our dashboard, but we want to go over and get access to our clients and our policies. So we're going to move over to the left here, the upper left, and we're going to click on Clients. And when we first come into our client store, as you see, we're here on our search screen. Okay, so now what we're going to do is that we want to add a policy for a client. So let's go ahead and choose a client. Let's choose Tanya Smith here. And we're going to go to the very top of the screen and we're going to click on Policies. And it takes us to Tanya Smith's policy screen. Now, if this was the first time I was coming into somebody's policy screen, actually, and I'll show you that. Let's go back to the search and let's see here. I don't think I have a policy for William here. I'll show you. Let's go to Policies. You notice I have no policies for him, so right away it asks me would I like to add a new policy, which I can answer yes to. Excuse me, but as I was showing you with Tanya Smith, since she already has a policy on her account, when I go in here, it shows me the policy. Okay, in order to add in a new policy here for her, I go up to the top here, this top line of ribbons. Up here, the button is labeled Policies. I would click on Add New. Would I like to add a new policy? Yes. All right, so now here we have our policy screen. Lots of stuff on our policy screen. How do we use it? So we first start out over here to the left. We choose our line of business. Now remember, from our training webinars on the utilities, all your defaults that come into play here, when I click these drop downs, were set up in my utility section. All these names were set up, all the commission structures behind the lines and coverages, the MGAs, the companies, all the commission structures were all set up, all the sources, all the CSRs, all that stuff was all set up in defaults in my utility. So that's where this information from these drop downs comes from. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say it's a line of business of auto. They have personal auto, so I'm going to choose auto. What kind of coverage do they have? So let's click the drop down and let's see. What kind of coverage? Let's say they have PIP PD. Is there an MGA or broker on this? If I click a drop down, I can choose an MGA broker. Let's say I choose Stearns and Bauer here. Now what will happen if I choose an MGA broker when I come to an insurance company? Only the insurance companies that have linked to Stearns and Brokers in my utilities will appear here as choices. Not all the companies will appear here because I never linked them to Stearns and Bauer as my MGA. So only the companies that are linked to this MGA, Stearns and Brokers, and the utilities will show up here under your list of companies. Okay, I'm going to go ahead back and click the drop down. I'm going to choose none. So now you see all my companies appear because I have no MGA broker. One of the things I'd like to point out is when you're entering everything here, commission structures are applied that you set up in the utilities for the agency and also for the producer. And as you should have already set it up, so you know that you can break commissions up. You can do individual commissions up for MGA brokers and for companies and for each producer as that matter. So here, if I was to actually have chosen a broker and then an insurance company, the commission structure for the agency that applies that I set up for MGA Stearns Broward with the company Alpha Vision would apply to this. So whenever an MGA broker is selected here, its commission structure for the insurance company you chose will appear here. Now if I was to not have selected a broker here and instead chose just an insurance company, let's go ahead and just choose somebody here. Let's choose, there we go, Insurance USA. Now Insurance USA, their commission structure that I set up for them is going to apply. Nothing for MGA brokers is going to apply whatsoever. The commission structure alone for Insurance USA is going to apply here. So next down after that we have financing. Are we agency bill, direct bill, paid in full, or premium finance? Again, these defaults are set up in the utilities. Some of you might not want to use the term just premium finance. Some people might want actual names of finance companies. You can do that. You can set that up in the utilities if you'd like. Let's say it was direct bill. We do have a place here, if it happens to have been financing, you can put in the financing contract number if you'd like to keep track of that. How did they pay? Did it give me cash? Is it a check to the agency, a check to the company? Is it a check by phone to the agency? Okay, was it an ETF to agency? Is it a split payment? All right, so let's go ahead and let's choose they're going to pay by cash. If they happen to be paying by check, we have a place here for the check number. Here, when we first put in a policy, the policy number is always going to say pending until we actually put the policy number in there. So let's go ahead and put in a policy number. Here, if we choose to, we can put in the binder number if we'd like to. Here is our binder date. Okay, this can be set to something different. It doesn't have to be, it always defaults to today's date, but it doesn't have to be today's date. Maybe you wrote the policy actually 3 weeks ago and you're just now entering the client in for some reason. You can do that. Here's where you choose the policy period. So we can either do annual, semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, so forth, endorsement variable, 6-year, 5-year, and so forth. We'll go ahead and leave it to annual. Here we have our effective date. Our effective date does default to our binder date because they really should pretty much be the same date. You could have them typed in here different from each other if you needed to, but generally, if you're going to bind it, the binder date is generally going to be the same date as the effective date. Expire date. Do you notice I clicked tab here and I never came into this area? That's because the expire date is based on the period and effective date I chose. The only way I can type into expire date is under the policy period. If I had chosen variable, it would let me type in here. All right. If I had not chosen variable, if I choose any of the other ones like annual, semi-annual, so forth, it automatically configures the expire date for me, and I cannot come in here and change it. To change it, I have to change the period and the effective date. Here's where we can choose our CSR, who happens to be on the policy if we'd like to. Here's where the business is chosen. Is this new business, renewal, rewrite? This is generally going to be chosen for you. Okay, it's always going to be marked new business unless up top here we are renewing and we're on the original policy and we choose the button renew. Then the policy it adds in will automatically say renew here. Okay, so that's generally going to be done for you. Here we can put in a description for the policy if we like. It depends. Maybe there's something about this policy that you'd like to know about or always know about. Maybe let's type in that it's half black and half red, driver door dinged. Okay, maybe that's something I want to know about the policy. I can also choose a policy source. You set up your sources. The sources for the policy source and for the client that's on the agent screen are the same defaults. Okay, so you want to make sure when you set the sources up in the utilities, all the defaults, that you keep in mind that you're setting them up both for the client and for the policy. One of the reasons this was added in was so you could track how you got this policy. Because a lot of you out there do things like cross marketing, you do marketing campaigns and things like that, and maybe the source of this policy was because you ran a marketing campaign to all your people who have auto insurance with you but not their homeowners, and now this client is writing their homeowners with you and you'd like to know that you got it through your marketing campaign. Well, you could do that. If I had like marketing campaign in here, I could do that. I could select that as my policy source. Now from here we're going to go ahead and we're going to type in the quoted premium. So let's say I quoted this person $4,000. Okay, now if it's written, which I put in policy number, so it should be written at this point in time, I can put in my base premium. The reason for this, we've broken this out because especially for like say homeowners and citizens, things like that, come to find out when you're figuring out commissions for your premium itself, we're not even talking about commissions for the premium itself. Sometimes they're breaking it down. So let's say they'll pay you for the homeowners part of the policy, but not say the wind that's covered under the homeowners. They won't pay you for that. So there's parts of the actual premium itself you might not be getting commission on. So first off, what we're going to do here is we'll put in our base premium. Let's say it actually is the same amount that I quoted here. Now, what we can do here is in this next area is the base non-commission premium. So let's say this was, homeowners, and the wind was not, I'm not getting commission on the wind, and the wind totals up to say 500 of the $4,000, I can do that. So now when I do this, I'm telling QQ Evolution when it goes to configure my commissions that $500 of my premium is not commissionable. All right, so I am telling the program that $500 of my premium is not commissionable, and that's under the base non-commission premium. So now if I go by this, and let's go ahead and let's fill out the rest of this information over here, you'll see it readjusted my base commissionable premium. Okay, you see here, base commissionable is now saying that $3,500 worth of the premium is commissionable. So we have $500 worth of premium that is not commissionable, and we have 500 of the premium that is not commissionable, and we have $3,500 of the premium that is commissionable. All right, we break that out for you, and now the program knows what part of the premium to do the commission on. Very, very handy. Now, these numbers, these grayed out areas are locked, and they will change based on information I enter. So let's go over here. Option. We have a place to do optional coverage, additional coverage, which is here's where the premium and the commission goes. So if I actually have an optional coverage, I can enter it in here, and if I had set up a commission structure for it in the utilities, it would automatically calculate the commission. Also, this is where if I had set up any default names for optional coverages, I can click the drop down and choose what the optional coverage is actually named. Maybe I put on a NSD I don't know, NSD accidental dismemberment or something onto the policy. I could select NSD so I know right away that that's what my policy is for, NSD. Okay. Underneath here where it says from endorsements, this is grayed out. That's because this information will only populate when I choose to do an endorsement. Okay, and I'll show you how to do an endorsement in a little bit. Here where it says agency fee, MVR fee, this as well is grayed out. There's two different ways to get information in here. If on this insurance company, Insurance USA, and the utilities and the defaults I had chosen to set up a fee, an agency fee for them, it would automatically appear here. But if I did not, or let's say I did and I need to change it, I would need to come down here where it says fees and adjust it. Okay, and we'll be covering these tabs in a little bit. Okay, it'll be the same thing here where it says endorsement agency fee and MVR endorsement MVR fee. I would have had to enter those fees on the endorsement itself. Here's where I can go ahead and put in the down payment. So let's say they're giving me $1,000 down payment. I enter that in. Up opens my box. Okay, that we can print a receipt value with the $1,000. Again, this stuff is all locked because it pulls it from the main screen. If there happens to be an IOU on the IOU amount, maybe they aren't giving me $500 of the down payment. Remember, this is strictly for the down payment. So maybe they're not giving me $500 of it. You see it adjusts itself, saying the IOU amount is $500, the down payment received is $500. And I could put in a due date for that IOU amount and I could bill them out. But for easiness sakes, let's just say there is no IOU amount. I could also then put in how I received the money. Was it an ETF to the company by chance, an electronic funds transfer? Did I receive the payment by cash, check, to agency, check to company, and so forth? Was it split payment? Did I receive two different payment methods? I can do that as well. And then I can go ahead and click on print here. And it's going to open up my down payment receipt. I don't have my printer set up, but it would open up my down payment receipt and I can go ahead and print that out. Underneath here, I can go ahead and enter in, if I hadn't done so already and I'd like to track it, I can enter in the number of payments. Maybe they're doing some financing or monthly amounts. Maybe they have to do 6 payments at a monthly amount of $50. And the first one is due on the first. And we can select who's entering it. And we've already covered this on the search screen, but I got to point this out. Right here where it says create financing schedule and billing screen and it's checked marked. The only reason this would be checked marked is if you're doing in-house financing. If when that client's monthly amount comes up due, they come to you, they pay it, and it goes into your bank account. You're doing the financing. You would leave this checked marked, and then it would create the finance schedule and the billing entries so that every month when they pay you, you can reconcile that billing entry until it's paid, until the end of the schedule. However, if you are not doing in-house financing and you'd simply like to just keep track of what's going on with their monthly amounts, I can uncheck mark this, hit OK, and it will simply enter the information here, but it will not have affected my billing entries and it will not affect any of my financial reports when I print them out because I'm technically not taking that money in every month. I'm not doing financing. All right, so that's basically the top half of the screen. So let's go back here to the middle so we can just walk through this just a little bit. I showed you the quoted premium and base premium, and you have a place to put in your base non-commissionable premium, and your base commissionable premium is automatically calculated based on the base minus the non-commissionable. And we have the premium issued is it's $4,000. That was my base premium, it's $4,000. I've done no endorsements so far, so it's 0. And now my total premium is $400. We move to the right of here is where we're going to have company fees, and it's 0 right now. This would automatically be pre-filled for me if, again, in the utilities, when I was setting up the insurance company or MGA, if they happen to have any fees that applied, like Agency fees, well, that's for the agency, that's over to the right. Maybe I did like the Florida Hurricane Catastrophe Fund. That would be something you'd enter if you're an agent in Florida. Maybe there's a fee for an SR22. Maybe there's a tax rate. Maybe there's a surplus lines amount. There's numerous fees out there, and every state's different. If I had entered those in as defaults on this company and the utilities, this would automatically be calculated for me. Okay, and also as well here where it says non-commissionable fees and commissionable fees. This would all be calculated for me based on how I entered these fees in the utilities. And it would show me my grand total of commission. My grand total of commission is $280. This was configured based on what I set up in the utilities for this insurance company. No fees are involved. This is strictly the agency's commission off of the premium itself. Also, if there is an endorsement commission, it would show it here, and we give you the total of the commission amount. Let's move down below here, and you see there's these tabs at each one. I think there, let's see here, there's 7 tabs in total, or yeah, 7 tabs in total here. We're going to go through them one at a time. And some of these tabs, like the fee tabs, will affect the screen up above, as well as like commission breakdowns and so forth, would affect the screen up above. And I'll show you how it works. The first tab we have here, let's go over to the far left. First tab is policies. Shows me what policies this client has. To switch between policies, to see a different policy's information, I simply select the policy and it would switch over. So if I click on this policy, the information switches to that policy. All right, I'm going to switch back to the one I was on. So simply list your policies. Next one is endorsements. Mine, of course, is empty because I have done no endorsements. But if I had done any endorsements on this policy, they would be listed here with bits and pieces of information, like what was done, what's a premium, was there an agency fee, was there an optional coverage, and so forth, would be listed here. Next, we have forms. Any ACORD forms you do on this policy will be here for easy access. You can view them from here and double click on them and open them. The forms themselves, of course, are stored in the form section on the client. If you go up here to the very top to me at the right, we do have a forms button, and each client has a form section. Of course, there is a different training webinar explaining how to do forms for the form section that you can refer to on how to do forms. But any forms you have listed in here will be displayed here, and you'll be able to double click on them. Also, as a shortcut, instead of having to go actually to the form stores, I can add a form from here. I can click on add a form. It opens up my information for adding an ACORD form, all the different ACORDs. I can choose to see only Florida's ACORDs because I'm in the state of Florida. If you're in the state of, say, South Dakota, this would say show SD forms. Or I can choose to see forms for all states, okay, whichever I choose to. And I can choose my form. Let's say we're going to do, let's just scroll down here and see what we got. Let's do auto quote generic. So I double click on it. It says, do I wish to do the quote through auto quote through quick quote? If I answer no, it'll create a generic auto quote within QQ Evolution. What this being is if you happen to have quick quote and you'd like to create the auto quote also through quick quote, you can answer here yes, and it will open up quick quote and you can proceed that way. I'm going to select no, so it opens up my ACORD here in QQ Evolution, and you see here's my ACORD form. I can go ahead and some of this information is pre-filled for me, and I can go ahead and finish filling it out. You know, we can put in the driver's license numbers. Now, all this stuff, by the way, could have also been on the client screen and would have been pulled over for you if it was there. If there's any violations, we can enter it. We can enter the vehicle. Again, if this information had been entered on the policy screen in the policy details, this would be there, pre-filled for you. And we can go ahead and put our limits and so forth. You get the idea on how to do it. And now we did our auto quote ACORD. If I was to, just a heads up, if I was ever to open an ACORD form, anything in yellow are areas that you can edit or you can type in or delete from. Anything in yellow. If I was to open an ACORD form, even though I have some stuff pre-filled, if I don't type anything anywhere and hit the return button up top, the ACORD would not be saved. I have to type something somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return here. You notice now I have this auto quote here, and also let me go up top here to the right and click on forms, and you also see that it's stored right here. Here's today's date, here's the auto quote I just did. So here's where they're actually stored, but we do give you access to them from the policy screen for easy and quick access. I can simply double click on it and it will reopen the form. I can edit the form, add to it, whatever I need to do. Next tab we have is claims. What you're going to do is you're going to please refer to the training webinar on how to do claims, but any claims you had done on a client would be listed here with any information like the claim number, policy number, the company, the line, the date of loss, the status, if it's open, if it's voided, if it's closed, and so forth. Will all be listed here. You'd be able to select a claim and double click on it and open it up. Let's me go out here and let's see if I actually have anybody with any claims. I think I did enter somebody with a claim. Go to the claim section. Nope. So you see this is our claim section. We do have a, it's pretty straightforward. It tells you everything you're supposed to do here. But we do have number one, a help button here that will give you a Adobe document. We'll open up and explain to you how to use this. We also have a training video on it itself if you'd like to use it. Maybe I don't have anybody with a claim. Let's see here. No. What I'm going to do is just real quickly go back to search. I'm going to add in just a quick claim here. Oh, this one does have a claim. I'm sorry. So here it does have a claim. That's a good point. The reason the claim isn't showing is I'm not on the right policy for it. Let's go back to the policy screen. Select the other policy. Click on claims, and there it is because the claim was attached to the other policy. That's another good thing to show you, that these buttons, when you're going through them, the information you see pertains to only to the one policy that you have selected. Okay, so if I select this and go to claims, there's no more claim listed because I have no claim attached to this one policy. Fees. Here's where we have our fees, and we can edit them as we need to on the fly if needed. We can go ahead. It always has policy fee here, but you see it says zeros, but you can edit the fee, the policy fee, and add it in if you need to. Now, if we had set them up in the utilities on this insurance company or the MGA broker, if I happen to have one chosen, they would be listed here, and the amount would be taken into effect here. But I have no fees, but let's show you how these fees work. If I need to, I can add a fee. Let's click on Add Fee. And let's say it's a tax rate. And let's say it's a percent of 6. I have 6%. Let's hit OK here. And so now I have a 6% tax rate. The fee value is going to be $240. All right. So now we added that on, which go ahead and has increased my premium to $4,240. So I no longer have the premium of $400. This increased it. Okay, you notice the fee did come up in here. I did not check mark that as commissionable. So company fees, we have $240 in it. Non-commissionable company fees is the full $240 and nothing for commissionable. If we wanted something to show in commissionable, let's click Add Fee again. Let's choose Setup Fee. Let's say it's a flat rate of $15, which I already have set up here. Let's say it is commissionable and I hit OK. My premium again increased, and there's my commission fee of $15. So now in total we have a commission of $281.20. You notice it has been upped. We have an additional premium of $255 because we've added that amount of money onto the policy by adding these fees, and now our total commission is $281.20. That has been raised up and adjusted based on the fees we entered. I can remove fees and delete fees if I need to. I can select one and hit delete if I need to, and it's been removed off the policy, and the policy readjusts itself. Now over here to the left is where we have the policy agency fees. If I need to add in any fees for my agency, so I can click on Add Fee, and this is where I can go ahead and I can set up any an agency fee, an MVR fee, and so forth here. And I can select those and have them listed here. So that's our fee section. So if there's any fees you didn't program them into the utilities, or maybe your fees are different on the insurance company, you know, they give you a different rate all the time or based on what the policy's on, and you can't judge it from policy to policy, you can always change that stuff here on the fly when needed. The next tab we have here is the commission breakdown. Now this refers to the agency's commission. Now again here for the commission breakdown screen for the agency's commission, I had set up in the utilities for this insurance company, Insurance USA, a default of 8% for auto policies for PIP PD. One thing you will notice here is the amount of the premium is $3,500. And look, the total premium that we already have listed though is $4,240. What's up with that? That's because I had $500 worth of this policy's premium that was non-commissionable. So when it's going to calculate the agency's commission, this high $500 is not a factor because I cannot receive commission on it. So it knows, the program does, by entering this $500 under the base non-commissionable premium, it knows to only calculate the agency commission on this $3,500, and here it's displayed the $280. So this is my agency's commission. Now, there are several different ways of setting up agencies' commissions. Okay, if you took our training on the utilities, which I hope you did before you did this, because it would have set up all your defaults, you would know that you can do commissions 3 different ways. You can do commissions based on what are called rules. Okay, maybe there's rules out there like the most popular one of the most popular I can think of is there's a rule that insurance companies apply if a driver is under the age of 17. That's a rule, and your commission rate would be different for the amount of premium that pertains to that young driver. You can also do it by tiers, and what tiers is by premium amount. Some companies will give you a certain percentage based on the amount of the premium. So let's say this company for a premium up to $500 gives me 10%, that's one tier. And now let's say from $500 to $1,500 they give me 15%, that's another tier. Okay, and you can keep going up and have as many tiers as you need to on any one company. Now, as you notice down here on the left where it says tiers, this is grayed out because there was nothing in the utilities to hint that tiers could go into effect here. So if I want tiers for this company, I have to do something about that in utilities. But I could add rules if I needed to. I could click on add. Here's some rules, like I have over 65, under 17 years of age for 7% commission amount. And here I have under 17 years of age for 5% commission amount. And let's say it's over 65, I can click apply rule, and now that has been added in. I didn't set up any amounts, so it's not calculating anything until I do this. The over 65 driver on the premium, how much of the premium did they account for? Let's say they accounted for, let's say 3,000 of it. Get 4%, and there's my 4% on this rule, $120. So as you notice, it recalculates everything. It splits the commission out, okay, between these. You notice everything because I put $3,000 in here. Up here, the default commission to change to $500 because basically I told it to. Okay, I'm saying I applied a rule for $3,000. The commissionable premium was only $3,500, so it had to adjust it. So now it's saying I'm getting 4% on the $3,000 for the person who is over 65, and I'm getting 8% on the other part of the premium for the person for the $500. Okay, so it's a wonderful thing. You can split this down to as a minute factor as you need to on this premium amount. Okay, I can choose to delete as well. I can select and I can delete. And I can also reset this. Hit reset. It says the current commission will be discarded. Do you want to proceed? Yes. And it discards the other stuff and puts it back to my default of what I originally set up in the utilities. If I had not set this up in the utilities, this would end up being blank. And you'd need to make sure you add it in here. And I also would make sure I stopped and set up the commission structure in my utilities. You know, those utilities are a wonderful thing. Setting up your defaults there will save you a lot of manual labor. You even want to set up the defaults if you're doing a lot of downloads. You might be an agency that uses downloads or gets a lot of their business put into their software by downloads. Most companies don't send commissions through downloads, okay? Except, you know, we have some doing direct bill commissions, but most don't send it through. But QQ Evolution could still calculate it for you as long as you have the default amount, default commission percentage or flat amount set up in the utilities. When they send the policy through down in downloads and we see that premium amount, we can go ahead and calculate it for you. Now the last button we have here is producers. This is an important button. Only producers entered here in this producers button can have their commission tracked and reconciled, manually reconciled within the program. So if you want to be able to manually reconcile your producers as you pay them or see what you owe them, you want to make sure you enter producers here. Now, what we do is we need to add a producer, is we can click on add producer. It opens up our producer commission box. It has Amy Tanner here. I can select whoever I need to. That's simply my first default. Maybe I want to do Sally Brightman here. Says what we like to set it. Yeah, why not? Okay, here's my policy number. I can switch this if I needed to. Over here to the left we have company commission. It shows that I have it set up for type of agency commission. So I'm getting an amount of the agency commission, and I'm getting maybe a percentage, and this says 1%, so I didn't set it up. So I'm going to hit 10%. And the agency commission is 280. I'm going to do a 100% split. If I wanted to do an 80-20, 50-50, whatever, put that percentage in here. Calculated available is $280. All right, so the total amount that the producer will get is $28. Right here it's calculated. As you see, these are grayed out based on what you put in here for the producer's commission percentage. Now the right here, this is for the agency for commission if they happen to receive a commission on the agency fee. I can do a flat amount here instead of percentage, and let's say they receive $3. And now as you see, it goes ahead and adjusts it. Agency commission is $3. It's on $31. Okay, so this is where we enter in our producer. We hit OK. You see now here's the producer added in. Now, as I'm sure you've noticed as you've been using the program, right here on the policy screen we have where you can enter the CSR. Then also up here, back on this client screen, we have a place where you can mark the agent. Let's go ahead and select an agent here. You can mark the agent for the client. So the agent here is for the client in general. And we go to policies. The CSRs are generally split out, per policy. Now let's say one of these people or both of these people get a commission on this policy. Well, I don't want to have to manually click on add producer to do that when I already have everything, their default setups and the utilities, and I have them listed on the policy. So down here we have the ability to click on add agent as producer. So we go ahead and click on that. It brings up the box. As you see, it's already set up for 10% of the agency's commission. I can click OK, and now this person gets commission. I can do the same for the CSR, who happens to be Amy Tanner. I click here. You notice we have Amy Tanner, and I have the commission set up. I can hit OK and add her in. All right, so that's just an easy, quick little button for you to pull the agent of the CSR you have listed on the client in here to get their commission calculated. You will notice in a lot of these areas, we have these little question buttons, question marks. These are help buttons that if you click on them, they again will open up a PDF version of a document explaining how to use these areas. We also have, of course, training webinars, recorded training webinars like this one that you're viewing, and also newsletters and actual training videos to watch that can help you out on learning how to use all this information. You can also see that we can choose to edit a producer, so I can hit edit, and maybe I gave them the wrong percent. Maybe they're supposed to give 5%. I can do that. You see the commission was readjusted down to 14 from 28. Hit OK. Now that's been readjusted, and I can also delete a commission if I need to. If I'd like to see a history of this, I can click on Show History. There is no history for the producer, so there is nothing to show there. Here we do have a history, because they're owed $3 and it hasn't been paid yet, so it's showing me the history. They have a balance due to them of $3 on this one policy. The history does go per policy. All right, that is our policy screen and how you use it and everything that that's on it. There is also a policy detail button that you're going to be able to use. It's not on the screen right now at this point, but there's a policy detail area where that applies to the 4 lines of business: auto, which is personal auto, so auto, commercial auto, general liability, and homeowners, where you can pack in a whole lot of information for a policy and have that information transferred to an ACORD form and vice versa. So it's very handy. A lot of you will not be entering stuff in here manually. Again, you're using downloads. A lot of this stuff will be entered for you. What we're going to do now is head up to the very top of the screen and just go briefly through these buttons at the top. On the other webinar training sessions, primarily the webinar on the search screen, went over what a lot of these things were. So I'm just going to go very briefly over them because you would have already gotten a much fuller description of what each one does when you watch the search webinar. So first off, always make sure when you're going up here to the top to use these ribbons up here, make sure you have the correct policy selected. And we hit up here and we have our print button. We can choose to print out a letter, which has already been explained to you, but I'll show you. Print a letter. Up opens up your available letter templates. when you first start off, we do give you some default letter templates. You can also create your own in our word processing program called QuickWord. And I can select a letter, hit OK. It will open up the letter, and I can choose to print it out if I'd like. Hit no, and I'm not going to save it. You can also from here choose to print the down payment receipt, which would open up automatically the down payment receipt. I can do print screenshot. What that does is maybe you need this information as policy maybe out in the field. Maybe you need to go to their home for some reason. I can click on print screenshot and it will print out a picture of this screen as is. You can also choose AP letter. This will open up our AP letter, and you can go ahead and print out the additional premium letter. Also from here for AP, we can choose to set up a memo/reminder on any AP. So you see here, here's a policy. We show issued and quoted. There's an additional premium, which on mine there is because the quota was 400 and now it's up by 240. I can set a reminder and choose who did it. And I have a memo in that I had created an additional premium. Garage/property address. Every client can have multiple addresses on them, and they can have one mailing address per client, and you can have one garage/property address per policy. And it can be entered here, and it will also reflect back into the client screen for the client. So if I click on garage/property, we have this box that opens up. It says assign an address for this policy. So I'd already chosen my policy, and I can choose this address and hit assign, and it will assign it to this policy. Am I sure? Yes. And now that has been assigned to this policy. Let's choose the next policy and click again. We're going to hit on change. Let's click add new, and let's add in a new address. This will also reflect back into the policy or the client screen for the policy. Let's go ahead and OneRise. Do Sunrise. And let's say it's a second home. Oops. Houses, car. We're going to hit OK. And now we're going to make sure it's selected, hit assigned. And now that has been assigned to that address has now been assigned here. So if I go back and reselect the first one, hit garage/property, you'll see it's been assigned this address. Hit close, and I can change it if I need to. Choose the next policy. And if I click on garage/property, you see the address I just entered in. As well as, let's go up here to the top and let's click on clients. And you'll see under addresses, here are the addresses so far entered. We have one mailing, one garage address. Let's go back to policies. Also up top here, we have the intent to cancel button so that you can set up if a policy is set to cancel, maybe the insured has called and said, no, I'm not going to renew, or maybe the insurance company has told you that they're not going to renew. You can set up an intent to cancel date. I can put in a date, put in a memo. I can set myself up a reminder maybe to call the client and say, hey, are you sure you really want to not renew your coverage? I can print out a letter if I happen to have one and hit OK. Now an intent to cancel date has been set on it. If I need to remove an intent to cancel date on a policy, I make sure that policy is selected, choose intent to cancel again, click on I change my mind, clear it, yes, and now it's been removed. We also have cancel. You will use this if you want to cancel a policy. We've already showed you this on the search screen, so I can cancel it out and hit cancel policy and we'll cancel it. Add new, again, that's for adding a new policy. We have delete, which would delete whatever policy you're on. We do give you a warning saying, are you sure you want to delete this policy? It's endorsements, and any voided or closed claims will go along with it. So if I answer yes, this whole policy along with its corresponding information goes bye-bye. So be very careful with this. I'm going to answer no. If we want to go ahead and renew the policy, we click on renew. And say, are you sure? We're going to answer yes. If you'd like to renew through QuickQuote, if you have our QuickQuote software, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm going to answer no. As you see, and it asks me attach the old quote to this renewal, what it will do is it will take the old auto quote from the original and also put it into this new renewal if we'd like. I'm going to answer yes, and you can always go in there and edit the information. It says, do you want to keep the company fees from the original policy? If you click no, QQ Evolution will default fee settings from utilities. Make sure you check the fees for accuracy. What this is saying to me is, do I still want to keep the same fees that were on the policy, the original policy? So if I answer no, it'll default to whatever settings I happen to have in the utilities for defaults. And as you see, it marked it as a renewal. I'm going to go ahead back to policies. I'm going to get rid of that. So I hit delete. Am I sure? Yes. And I got rid of it because I don't actually want it. We also have the endorse button. So this is where you do your endorsements, and then this information on the endorsement agency fee or commissions on endorsement will then appear. So if I need to endorse this policy, I'll click on endorse. Box opens up. Do I want to do it manually? Do I want to do it using a pro rata calculator or do it through a quick quote? I'm going to choose to do it manually. And let's say I added a car. I can choose to print out in Accord form if I'd like. I'm going to choose not to. I'm going to click on endorse, and here's my endorsement box. What date the endorsement goes into effect, what type of business it is, I can put who did it. Over here, I can put it in. What was it quoted for the endorsement? Let's say they added car and it's going to increase it by $20. Okay, base premium is still $20. All right, there's no non-commissionable, no company fees. We'll leave it at $20. Go ahead and go through here. Do I need to do an MVR fee or any type of fees here? I can select from here, add a fee. I can choose to add in a fee here if I need to. Here's where I'm going to enter in my premium down. A lot of times, if it's only $20, I'm sure this endorsement basically is going to be paid in full, so I can put in the $20 or however amount they're paying me right now. If I leave this empty, the program will think that this is just an outstanding bill then. So if you leave this empty, the program doesn't know you actually received the money for the endorsement. I can choose financing type. Is it direct? This was the original. It was direct bill. Is it changed? Is it now something else? How are they paying this? Is it cash, check, money order, so forth? I can click on OK. And you now see the endorsement appeared over here. We have the endorsement commission, which is $1.60. The total endorsement is $81.60. Okay, so now we have an endorsement. So in order for this information to appear, we have to use the endorse button. Next up here, we have details. Okay, we have policy details. This is our policy screen that I was talking about earlier for the lines of business. The button has been moved up here for the ribbon. This is where you come in and you can do the policy detail. Now I can choose to pull information from an existing Accord form if I'd like. I can also pull from the client screen. All right, I updated it. I can, of course, put in my own information. I can do drivers. I can add in another driver by clicking Add. All right, you get the idea. I'm going to click OK to save it. Then if I ever needed to edit it, I could select whichever one I needed and click on Edit, or I could delete. Here's where I go ahead and add in the vehicles. I can click on Add and add in a vehicle. Coverages, this is where I set up my coverages and put in their limits and so forth. If I have any notes pertaining to this one policy, I can enter it. Here is a log. This will be a log of anything you've done inside of this. Any changes you've made inside of here will be logged here. And we have an archive, which if I have an original policy, original new business policy, and then a renewal comes along and I either get it through downloads or I'm manually doing it, the original policy detail from the original policy will go into the archive section, and then the renewal information will be as the current policy detail. One other really neat thing you can do from the policy detail screen is down here we have policy summary. This will give us a huge report with everything we have entered in that policy detail. All right, you could end up with 9 pages here. Click the next screen. Here's more information. Here's all my coverages and so forth. Okay, so I can print this out and give it to the client, whatever I need to be. This is a summary of everything you put in that policy detail button. And again, the policy detail button works currently with 4 lines of business. It works for commercial auto, general liability, homeowners, and auto. Auto would be the personal auto, but it's auto. Let's go ahead and hit OK to save this. We also have a log button. Any changes you make inside the program will be put into this log so you can keep track of what's being done on this policy within the actual policy screen if I've changed anything. So here is a log of everything that's been done with date and timestamp. Okay. And last but not least, we have that same inquiry button for those of you who have downloads and have decided to use the real-time inquiry feature. You'll be able to be taken by clicking the drop down to any of these areas on the company's website as long as they participate in this with the real-time inquiry. Not all of them participate in all of these. Okay, they participate in claims. When you click on here, it'll shoot you over the company's website, log you into it with your information, and it will take you to the claims area on that client. Okay, it's a very slick, neat thing. It's, you know, like a quick jump between the two, and it logs you into the program. And that is our policy screen. Now from here, we have one more area or two more areas to look at just briefly. They don't require much explanation, but they kind of go hand in hand with the policy screen. Up top, we have the client billing and company billing. Difference between the two, of course, is client billing is money owed to the client or money the client owes you. Company billing is money you owe the company or the company owes you. Now, I had put in all this information here, like the down payment of $200 and so forth. So let's click on client billing and see what happened. All right, here's today's date. Here is my down payment that I had did, and it says POL for policy. I also did that endorsement for $20. You can see it says E&D for endorsement here, and there's a down payment for that. So they had both been entered here automatically for me because the client owed me that money for the down payment and they paid it to me. So now it's and I put in no IOU, so now they paid it. So now this is done. Now from here, what would happen in the billing section in client billing, I'm sorry, in company billing, as you see, more entries were made. Here's again the down payment for the $1,000. Here is the down payment for the endorsement. Here is the commission for the policy and for the endorsement. All right, so that's basically it. We have our entries here for the down payments, the commissions, everything due to the company. All right, now let's just jump back here to client billing. Now, client billing and company billing, these buttons at the top, these ribbons, what you can do from here are identical on each screen. So I'm only going to go through them on one screen. Okay, so from here we can choose an entry, and we have our print button. We can choose to print a receipt if we have it, or we can choose to print an invoice. So let's choose to print an invoice. Now, what of these items do I want to appear on my invoice? I can have everything out of here appear on my invoice if I'd like, or maybe I don't want it all to. Maybe I just want to invoice them out for this down payment of $200 they paid me. Okay, because here's the owed me, here's the paid me. So let's go ahead and let's click on print. And here comes up my invoice. We do have 4 different invoices for you to choose from, the utilities. This happens to be the first one. You're probably going to use a different one. I would highly recommend for everybody to use number 4 because that invoice is changeable. I can change information on it. I have a little place to type a note. But as you can see here, here's my invoice again, and the utilities I had set up for to bring over my agency's information. Here it is, as well as the client's information and today's date. And also here's the time. Let's go ahead and close this. We also now have our button here that says item. Now do I want to see a detailed look of, let's say, this entry. Let's click on details. And now it gives me a detailed look. Okay, it was for a down payment. Here's the debit amount, the policies with Insurance USA, all of that. And here it says I have a down payment of $1,000. Okay, so that's the detail. If there had been more things, like some more fees and things like that included, it would all be broken down in there for you. You see, here's the detail, $200. If I had like an agency fee, MVR fee all wrapped up in here, those would be individually listed as well with their individual amounts. We can also choose to delete an entry. I have this one selected. Am I sure? I answer yes. It is permanently deleted. That's why we give you the warning of are you sure? So remember, you go to delete, it is permanent. You can, though, however, void entries if you like. I can select one, choose void. It'll say, am I sure that I want to void this? Because if you click yes, you cannot unvoid it. So if I click yes, I can put in a memo that I'm voiding it here. Let's see, voided, wrong amount. I hit OK. Now it turns a bright yellow, and now it's going to be voided. You can no longer do anything else with it. You can't receive a payment on it. You can't look at, you can't print an invoice. You can't print a receipt on it. Nothing like that. Forward monies or anything. You see, as it down here, it says yellow equals voided transactions. That's what it does. And also remember, once it's voided, it cannot be unvoided. All right, what else do we have here? We've already showed you on the search screen how to receive payments and so forth, so I'm just going to very briefly go over them because you've already had viewed this training. So let's do receive a payment. Let's say somebody's paying you some money right now for something, and it's money, of course, we're in the client billing, so it's going to be money the client owes you for some reason. You choose the correct policy, hit OK. Opens up my screen. We put in the amount they're paying us. Maybe they're paying me $40. What are they paying me for? I can add an agency fee if I need to. What are they paying me for? Let's say it's an optional amount. How are they paying me? Is it cash, check to agency, and so forth? If it's check, we can put in a check number. If it's a split payment, maybe they're giving me the 40, maybe it's actually $60 and they're giving 40 of it me in cash, and then they're going to give me 20 of it as a check. All right, I can do that. There's my 20 bucks, check to agency. Here's my check number. So in total, my payment is $60. It's the two combined when you're doing split. If I have a receipt and I'd like to print it out, I can select it here. We will put in a memo for you. You can set up a reminder date for whatever reason may be, and you can choose who's entering this. Here where it says create debit and credit, this is important. This should be check marked because what it does by check marking it, it puts the debit of they owed me the $40 at the first place in there. And then it also puts the credit of they paid me the $40, hence balancing out the entry. Because I'm taking in a payment, I had no outstanding bill. Okay, so I'm making a brand new entry, no bill. So, and they are paying me, so I wanted to balance out. If I do not check mark this, it will solely make a credit on the client's account for $40, meaning I owe them $40 when I don't. Okay, so we want this check marked, and this will stay check marked from now on unless somebody comes in and unchecks it. I'm going to hit OK. And now I received in my payment. There it is. They paid me the $60. The debit they owed me, the credit they paid me, we're still balanced out nice and wonderful to zero down here. Create a finance schedule. This would also be done here in the client billing. You choose what policy it goes with. We hit OK. I've already showed you how to do this on the policy screen, so I'm not going to go into this. Just I want to reiterate here where it says create financing schedule and billing screen. If I have a check mark here, it will create. And you know what we're going to do it this time. We're going to show you the finance schedule. I have all the information. I hit OK. It goes ahead and it makes me a finance schedule right here. If I was to look at the details of this entry, you will see here's all these payments that are due to me. They're due and nothing's been paid yet. Okay, so every month if I'm doing in-house financing and that money's coming into me and it's going into my agency bank account because they owed it to me, I'll be able to come in and reconcile this every month until it's paid off, and it would show you which ones paid and which ones weren't. Okay, so when that create finance schedule screen comes up, and all you want to do is actually enter the information in on the policy screen just to track it, not actually affect your financials, your financial reports or anything like that, because you're not taking the money in. You would uncheck mark this and hit OK, and it would just apply the information to the policy screen. We also have forward monies. What this is for is really, if let's hit OK here, there is nothing to forward. What this is for is the insurance company. If there's any outstanding money that is owed to the insurance company, or that you are owed to the insurance company, like they have a credit and you need to pay it to them, so they would be zero debit and there'd be a credit. You hit forward money, it would forward it to them within the program. And what we'll do is we also have the option here to create a bill. So let's create a bill here. Let's create an outstanding bill. Let's go ahead and let's type in the amount here. Let's say it was $60. And maybe it was not commission, that's not a good one. Let's say it was for a monthly amount. We will put in the memo. You can choose to print out a bill receipt if you have one. You can click the drop down and choose it. You can enter reminder date or CSR. And as I've told you previously in other training, you can add to this if you want. Test add. I hit OK, and now I've created a bill. Okay, so then now when I receive a payment, I can receive a payment on this, okay, and would know what to do. All right, let's go to the company screen so I can actually show you the forward monies here. And again, we have the inquiry button for those who have downloads or are using the real-time inquiry feature. That is the jump to the company's website to these sections for this client. So I'm going to click over on company billing. So you see all the buttons are the exact same here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to forward monies. But first I'm going to have to create a credit on the account. So I'm going to go ahead and receive it. Whoops. Did finance schedule, don't want to do that. Receive a payment, I'm going to create a credit onto the account. So I'm going to create a minus amount here. Oops. Actually, you can do credit by minus amount, or what I'm going to do is uncheck mark create debit and credit. So all it does is create the debit. And let's just do I'm just going to grab a description here, and I'm going to hit OK. And so now here we have a monthly payment. There's a credit due to the insurance company of $60. Okay, and I need to pay them. It's not showing that I paid them. So I click on forward monies because now I'm going to pay them. Select the right policy, hit OK. I have one available for forward monies. If there's none available, it'll tell you that and it will close this box out. I hit OK. Automatically puts in the $60 for me. I can change that if I need to, so it will track it out. Automatically puts in that I'm sending the monthly amount. Okay, so it knows that the original entry was for the monthly payment, and now it's putting in that the monthly payment was sent. I can put in how it was done. Maybe I wrote a check to the company. I could also maybe have done it ETF. I can split it out if I need, and I hit OK. Just automatically then we'll go ahead and put in the corresponding debit of the I owed it to them in the first place. So now it's all nice and balanced out here. So that's forward monies. All right, everyone, that wraps up our training of the client and billing screens. Okay, as you see, a lot of this information, especially for a lot of you who do agency commissions on gross and monthly and taking the down payments and a lot of direct bill, things like that, a lot of these entries are going to be made for you. You might not even have to manually, do anything in here. It's all going to depend on your agency. Okay, we have also completed our training of our policy section. We went through here and showed you everything that there is to show about the policy section and everything it does. So that completes today's webinar. I hope you found it informative. You're more than welcome to view this as many times as you need be. Also, again, you can go to our website for additional information we have also mini training videos. We also have webinar training for the rest of the program. Highly suggest if you're using this program, you should take the whole webinar training so you know this program. We also have newsletters that tell you how to do specific things within the program. A lot of options available to you on how to learn this program. All right, thank you today for attending this training webinar on QQ Evolution. Everyone have a great day.